Hey everyone, welcome back to another SnyderVerse video. Over the past couple of days, there has been murmurs that a possible SnyderVerse announcement could take place at San Diego Comic-Con this year. The event starts on July 21st and ends on July 24th, so around 2 weeks away. Yesterday, we did get an announcement that Black Adam will be making an appearance at this year's San Diego Comic-Con, and Shazam: Fury of the Gods got an announcement today. So DC will make an appearance, but should we be excited? Well, we all know the now yearly event called DC Fandom that has trailers, behind the scenes and announcements for DC, a place where all DC fans can virtually be together. Now, you would expect that if DC wanted to make any big announcement, it would be at DC Fandom, not Comic-Con. But Comic-Con does have a wider audience, as in not just DC fans. So announcing something at Comic-Con would reach a wider audience. It really depends on what Warner Bros. Discovery and DC want to do. Do they want to utilize their own event to announce something huge, or at one of the biggest Comic-Cons where they could reach new customers? DC Fandom would be addressing the most loyal DC fans, but Comic-Con could bring new fans in. Personally, I think making a big statement at Comic-Con would be the smarter financial move, as DC should be trying to dominate the superhero genre, and a huge announcement like restoring the SnyderVerse could get every superhero fan talking about it. But I think if you want to talk directly to DC fans out of respect, then DC Fandom should be the move. Either option is a smart option, but for different reasons. So, if you had the choice, which event would you restore the SnyderVerse at? San Diego Comic-Con or DC Fandom? But where have these murmurs of an announcement come from? Well, I've only seen two accounts talk about it. The first is the Geeky Cast, who tweeted out a gif of Bruce Wayne talking to Wayne T. Carr's Green Lantern with the caption, "We are hearing possible huge news for DC coming to San Diego Comic-Con." Now, I don't know how trustworthy the Geeky Cast are. In all honesty, I hadn't heard of them until now, but it appears that they are a scooper and they seem to be pretty consistent with what they report. So combining their caption with the GIF they used would imply that a huge announcement could happen for Wayne T. Carr's Green Lantern. If it was about Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne, then they would have just used an image of Bruce Wayne, but clearly including Green Lantern would indicate that the announcement is about him. The whole reason why we were not allowed to see the Green Lantern scene from the Snyder Cut was because Warner Bros. Blocked Snyder from using it, as they had their own Green Lantern show on the way, and they didn't want to confuse us fans. 2 years later, and nothing really seems to have progressed with that show. But what if the announcement is that Wayne T. Carr will be the John Stewart of the Green Lantern show? It might be a stretch, but if true, then it would mean the Snyder Cut is canon to the Green Lantern show. Not just canon to the Green Lantern show, but to the DCEU. Now, there is so much confusion as to what will happen with the DCEU, as the Flash film is supposed to pretty much chuck most of it into a different universe, but a Green Lantern show happening with the Snyder Cut's Green Lantern would be huge. If it's set in a different universe to the Flash film and it has Wayne T. Carr as Green Lantern, then I would safely say that the Green Lantern show is set in the SnyderVerse. If it is set in the SnyderVerse, then that would mean the SnyderVerse would be making a comeback. That opens so many possibilities for the future: a Ben Affleck solo film, a Cyborg film, maybe even a Superman film, and of course, Justice League 2 and 3. These are all dependent on actors' relationships with the studio, but that's a discussion for another time. A Green Lantern announcement at Comic-Con could pave the way for the SnyderVerse's return. Now, this leads us onto the other person claiming that an announcement will happen at San Diego Comic-Con or DC Fandom, and that person is Warstew. Now, I know there are mixed opinions on his reliability, but he is claiming that he's heard from multiple people that a huge announcement for Zack Snyder could be on the way at San Diego Comic-Con. But he was told a few weeks ago that the announcement was going to be at DC Fandom, but has since changed to Comic-Con. Whether you trust him or not is up to you, but he has kind of put his sources on the line with this statement. If nothing happens at San Diego Comic-Con, then we can say his sources are not reliable. And then if nothing happens at DC Fandom, we can say his sources are completely unreliable. The current confirmed DC films to be at San Diego Comic-Con are Black Adam and Shazam: Fury of the Gods. I imagine that is because they are the two closest to being released. But I would expect Aquaman 2 to be there, but I would not expect the Flash film to be there due to obvious reasons. Now, a SnyderVerse announcement at the end of the DC panel would be an incredible way to end DC's time at Comic-Con, but I don't know if I can see it happen. I can definitely see a Green Lantern announcement with Wayne T. Carr, but I can't see a full-on SnyderVerse restoration announcement. Zack Snyder is still working on Rebel Moon, so I expect he wouldn't have the time for that announcement, and I'm sure he would want to be there to announce it. But the smaller moving parts could be announced at San Diego Comic-Con. The smaller parts that add up to the SnyderVerse being back, like a Green Lantern show with the Snyder Cut's Green Lantern. Now, something I've seen floating around on social media since Warner Bros. And Zack Snyder announced the digital copy for the Snyder Cut was someone slowing down the promotional video to show 3 different coloured variations of the Justice League logo. This has caused people to think that this is Snyder and Warner Bros. Hinting at Justice League 2 and 3, because then there would be 3 Justice League films, which is apparently what people think the 3 differently coloured Justice League logos mean. Now, do I think this is a stretch? Yes, I think this is a huge stretch, but it is one that has been supported by Zack Snyder, who liked Jacob Torres' post about this theory. So is Snyder liking the theory in an entertaining way, or is he liking it because fans figured it out? Personally, I think he's liking it in an entertaining way. Now, don't get me wrong, I know Snyder loves cryptic posts and hidden messages, and I would absolutely love this to be another one of those, but I feel like it's just a stretch by fans and Snyder is just being grateful for the support. I'd happily be wrong about it, but I can't try and see something that I don't really think is there. We all know Snyder's Vero posts, and maybe something has happened behind closed doors. The old Warner Bros. Regime would have never promoted the Snyder Cut, so that on its own is a huge achievement, so maybe I am underestimating it. Maybe Snyder has come to an agreement with Warner Bros. Discovery, and this is just the beginning of the Snyderverse's return. I have said in the past that unofficial negotiations could very well have happened without us knowing behind closed doors. The Snyder Cut being released on HBO Max was agreed between Snyder and Warner Bros. 3 months before we found out, so the very same thing could happen here. It would have to be unofficial negotiations, as Snyder is under contract with Netflix, which may be why projects within the Snyderverse, like a Green Lantern show, could go ahead, but Snyder himself could only return after his contract is up with Netflix. That is just a theory, but one that I could see happening. I guess we will have to just wait and see for San Diego Comic-Con. But make sure to let me know what you think of all these Snyderverse rumours in the comments below. For those of you who don't know, I do have a Twitter account called Our Movie News. I'm pretty vocal on there and we've built a pretty good community at 3,000 followers. So if you wish to follow me on Twitter, there is a link in the description, or just search up on Twitter, Our Movie News. But that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. I hope to see you here again soon. So until then, have a great day. Bye!